Welcome to Session 3 of Bible as Second Language. You know, I'll bet some of you sang this song when you were a kid, maybe in Sunday school or at Bible camp. Remember this one? Father Abraham had many sons had Father Abraham. Well, Abraham is one of the fathers we will be looking at in this session. Session 3 is entitled The Patriarchs, and it marks a new chapter in the story we've been following since Session 1. Here's a quick recap of the story so far. God created the universe out of nothing. On our planet Earth, God created all life and placed human beings here as God's caretakers. God looked at the entire creation and announced, "Very good." But the perfect, harmonious relationship between God and creation was shattered by human disobedience. The Adam and Eve story tells us that humans fell away from God, they fell into sin, and this sin distorted all human relationships. We saw Cain kill Abel, and then this sin spread throughout society. God attempted to clean out sin, clean up the world by sending a flood, saving only Noah and his family and the animals in an ark. But sin continued to infect the world, and humans used their abilities and talents to arrogantly try to reach the heavens and establish their own security. We saw that when they built the Tower of Babel. As punishment, God mixed up the languages of the people and scattered them all over the globe. Now, if you remember, in the last session, I called these stories universal stories. They don't really have historical dates connected with them, at least as I see it. We could say that they are prehistoric in the sense that they describe realities that are true for all cultures of all times. As the Bible sees it, the truths revealed by God in these stories are part of the background for all of human history. The very title of the first book of the Bible, Genesis, means the beginning. And that is what these first stories tell us. Now, if you remember, at the end of Session 2, as we finished Genesis 11, we asked ourselves, what now? Humanity's relationship to God continues to spiral downward into fear, anger, sin, and arrogance. So what will God do? How will God react to this tragic story of loss? Will God send fire and wipe out this mess of a world? Will God give up on us? Directly or indirectly, the rest of the Bible is the story of how God answers those questions. I'm going to say that again because I think it's important. Directly or indirectly, the rest of the Bible is the story of what God does with this messed up world. Yes, the world has rebelled against God, and yes, human beings run away from a relationship to God. But instead of destroying the world or giving up on it, God decides to recapture our hearts and recreate our rebellious world. God does not give up on us. The beginning of God's grand reclamation project comes in Genesis 12. Here is what God does. From Genesis 12, 1-3. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you, and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." God's first step seems a little strange, don't you think? God begins a global recovery plan by summoning one man and his family to a new relationship. The Bible now moves away from universal stories of origins, and now it focuses on Abram, or Abraham as he will come to be called, and his family and the nation they will come to represent, which is Israel. God decides to undertake a universal reclamation project by beginning with one particular family in one particular country at one particular time in history. Now, this may seem odd to you and me, but we'll learn as we read more in the Bible that God has a preference for the slow processes of history as opposed to the flashy, immediate solutions that we would much rather prefer. So, we begin with Abram, who is living in a place called Haran. He's called by God to pack up and leave his homeland and go. But go where? God simply says, "To the land that I will show you." Here's another of those covenants that God makes that shapes the Bible story. God promises Abram a land, enough descendants to become a nation, great renown, and a status as blessing bearer for the world. Now we can begin to look at some maps, which some of you will enjoy, and others of you will skip over. Maybe maps are a guy thing. I don't know. Anyway, at the end, I'll give you a free website. Great free website that you can check out for more maps. Genesis 12:4 simply says, "So Abram went." As if packing up everything and everyone and heading for parts unknown at the age of 75 is a normal thing to do. This man had a level of trust in God's promises that's really remarkable. It's no wonder that throughout the Bible, Abraham is seen as the father of faith. Now, we have evidence from archaeology and from documents outside of the Bible that around 2,000 years before Jesus was born, about 2,000 years before, numbers of people migrated from Mesopotamia to Canaan. Our Bible stories of Abram and his family may record part of that movement. The rest of Genesis follows the stories of the patriarchs, the fathers of the people of Israel. Of course, there also are the mothers of the people, and we do catch glimpses of their role in this story. Certainly, God was at work in their lives just as much as he was in the lives of the fathers. But the men wrote these foundational stories, and so they told the stories from their perspective. As the family tree indicates, the four men, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, are the main characters in these early stories, though we will see that the women also have significant roles to play.